In today's video, we're looking at the things customers should think about when they're choosing an EV charge point.
I take it we're looking at what colour they are today then, Gordon, are we?
I think it comes down to a bit more than colour, Gary. What's the three things you think about, Gary, when you think of EV charge points?
I think about safety, how easy it is to install the cable into it, and then the one you probably like, the bit with the app, maybe.
Okay, how easy it is to set up. Well, yes, that's the things that eFIXX viewers tend to worry about. But today we're going to go a little bit further and look at the things that really customers are thinking about or should be thinking about. And to help us in that journey, we've brought along Nick Raimo, who is otherwise known as EV Nick, who has his own thriving YouTube channel, and he's in the process of reviewing almost every EV charge point that's on the UK market at the moment. So welcome along, Nick.
Thank you for having me.
Now, depending on when you're watching this video, you may have already seen Nick on the channel before, because he obviously is part of coming down here to Lightside Studios. You have to undertake the Electricians Challenge. So if you haven't seen that, I will put a link somewhere around us, and check that out. There's a good laugh, as always, on that. So Nick, I guess, how long have you been YouTubing now?
So I've been a YouTuber now for just over 3 years, about 3 years, 6 months I've been doing YouTube for.
Okay, and that's always focused on EVs?
It's always been EVs, yeah. So straight away I bought an EV car. There wasn't a lot of information when I bought this EV car, for me as a customer to research. So I thought, well, I'll help the next EV owner or the next buyer by making some videos.
Okay, so I couldn't imagine there was a lot of viewers back then either.
There wasn't as many as there are now, because electric vehicles have got suddenly popular.
Right, well, what's driving that?
I don't know. Yeah. It's almost like the government have put a law in to ban all petrol cars by a certain date.
Yeah, and is that reflected in the channel now? Is that?
Yeah, so the growth in the market is huge. We've gone from 7 cars to lots more, like over 70, and even the charger side. So when I first started, there was basically 2-3 companies that made chargers, and they did nothing apart from being a outdoor waterproof shower socket.
Wow, that's a brave statement. That's one you're probably thinking, yes, I totally agree with Nick. However, we know, and we've got a video on your channel where we actually look at whether we could use a 13 amp socket outlet or one of these fancy outside ones, and why you would use the socket that's designed for EV. Yeah. However, we're going to be looking at what the consumer's interested in. This is something we're not with. This is foreign turf. That's why Nick's with us, isn't he? Yeah. So what are they after, Nick?
Well, they're after a couple of things. So first of all, I know you electricians absolutely hate things that are smart connected, but consumers want a smart connected app. So there's a reason for this. We want time of use tariffs. Now, time of use tariffs are tariffs that basically just change, not like Eco 7 where you get your fixed hours, but they can change every half an hour period, or they might change a 4-hour cheap period every single night.
Right, okay, so let me just pull that back in for Gaz. So you're telling me that the cost of my electricity could change every 30 minutes?
Yes.
How's that a benefit to me?
Cost savings, so the price can go negative. If there's lots of overproduction of wind energy, you can be paid to use electricity.
Sinking in. So I could charge my car and get paid for the privilege of doing it?
You won't just get paid for it, you get paid for every bit of electricity you use. So obviously EVs are going to pull 7 kilowatts of power, but you could be paid for, last time they went negative, I baked bread.
Of course, yeah, it was the second thing I was going to suggest, wasn't you, Gordon? Yeah, I'm down for a bit of baking.
After you finished curling your hair, Gary, I thought the bread was next on the list. Yeah.
So we're talking about being more agile with our device, understanding what's happening with the tariffs in order that it can benefit, and that's where the app would come in for the customer.
Yeah, so the app comes in for the customer because the customer wants an app that can take a charger that can take advantage of these benefits. And if they're not already thinking about it, which most of them are, a lot of the initial people who bought EVs were very green, and the other people are also concerned about saving money because EVs are cheaper to run. So not everyone who buys an EV is a tree-hugging person like me. Some of them may be buying it just because it's cheaper to run, because they're a lot cheaper to run.
Okay. I mean, considerably cheaper to run, is that?
Considerably cheaper to run. Yeah. We're talking the equivalent of about 1.2 to 2p a mile if you're on one of these smart tariffs.
Okay. Yeah. Wow. And these smart tariffs, we've seen a few of them. Are they going to change over time?
I think that we are probably probably 4 years away until we see all bigger energy companies have these time of use tariffs. And I predict that if you're one of these people who is sat there going, oh, I'm not going to have a smart meter, I don't believe in smart meters, they will pay an additional price on top for not having a smart meter.
Okay, so they're going to be priced either
they're
to
going to
get
be
a smart
priced
meter,
out the market until they get a smart meter.
Or if you have an EV car, which does take a significant amount of energy, or cheaper to run, but over a year, it's a significant amount. Everyone knows how much they pay for petrol, Gary, don't they?
They certainly do, and they will drive past certain forecourts to get to other ones using more energy in the car and probably the saving of 1 or 2 pence a litre that they could have got if they'd have got it maybe 6 or 7 miles ago, which is quite
So what we're talking about is the electrical equivalent of which petrol stations you fill up at is which tariff.
It's exactly that, and I think we're also not far off seeing something a little bit more broader, which is all these smart charge points now, because they're internet connected, can do shed loading. So I think we're not that far off an energy company saying, right, you have a smart charger, we'll connect to its back-end software, you let us shed load it and we will pay you for turning off that charger, be for that 5 or 10 or even just a half an hour period. You could be paid to just not charge for a little bit.
Yeah, and we have seen that in the commercial space. There's companies already do that with air conditioning plants in hotels and things like that in a minute. And the popular US viewers will nest in their rush hour rewards and things like that. It's people incentivized not to use electricity. It's a sort of a new thing. You know, I just used to tell the kids off for leaving lights on, but no, I don't need to do that. There's a financial incentive behind it.
It's a compelling story, and one that your channel is taking everybody through. And if you haven't checked out eFIXX's YouTube channel, it's worth checking it out because he's got a lot of videos on this and linking to a certain energy provider as well. You think that's doing a great deal out there?
Yeah, so I talk about a company called Octopus Energy, and I'm pretty sure that Gordon is your eFIXX is an Octopus customer, I believe.
Yes, we do use them here. And there is incentives. Obviously, electricians are leaving money on the table, aren't they?
They are, because if you're an Octopus customer or any of these smart customers, they offer £50 referral rewards for signing up new customers. So if you're an electrician and you installed one of these smart charge points, oh, hello, Mr. Customer, you can charge your car at 5 pence per kilowatt hour. Would you like £50 to sign up to this energy company?
Yes, please.
Yeah, and you as the electrician would then get 50 quid as well for referring that customer.
Wow. So there's not many downsides at the minute. However, when we have been looking at these, and this is something maybe you can help us with, real estate within these lovely looking chargers, remember the customer's looking for something that looks pretty on the wall, there's not a lot of room in some of these for us electricians, is there?
No, some of them are very, very cramped inside, but as a customer, I don't care. To put it mildly, I do not care how much trouble you're going to have as an electrician to install it. And if you're thinking of installing as an electrician, customers are going to look for the chargers they like and then find the electricians that install them.
Right, okay. You've got one there in front of you, which I don't think's got a lot of real estate in it, so it's quite tiny. Now, do you want to open it up and let's just have a little look at the pain pressure? So it might come in a fancy little box, and wow, when you put those two together, is there any room?
No. So if we just mock it up, so if I put that like that.
Okay, let's have a look. Wow, okay, not a lot of room at all. And just explain the connections to me.
So this one, you've got a couple of problems. First of all, the back plate here that's fixed to the consumer's wall is put on the wall, it's bottom fed here, but the problem is the electrical terminals are on this part here.
Oh, joy.
So yeah, great fun one to install, and obviously plenty of room for squeezing down a really thick armoured cable.
Lovely, yeah, great. That's very small, yeah, very cute, no room.
Yeah, I mean, we obviously talk about apps as well, and apps we always have a challenge when it comes to apps because they can be.
Do we? I hadn't noticed. Now you come to remind me of it. We do have a few issues with apps. That's something you explore on your channel, isn't it? You go through the pain of the app.
Yeah, so I go through not only reviewing. So on the chargers, I review everything. I go right from unboxing it, showing what's in the box, what the electrician and the customer can expect to both receive. Because the other thing, not many people are unboxing these, so the electrician might get something and wonder why the screws aren't there or why the raw plugs aren't there, because some of them don't include them and some do. Everyone's different. But also I want to show how the apps work and how they work with various things like solar, battery storage and also dynamic load balancing and fuse protection.
And that links in maybe with that sort of the tariff use, doesn't it? If you've got the ability to self-produce your electricity.
Yes.
Could you explain that a little bit further for us, Sam?
So if, for example, if you had solar, most of these charge points now, it's a big thing because a certain charge manufacturer got into it first and all the other charge manufacturers were losing sales to a charger that was able to divert all the solar energy from these chargers. So
right.
If a lot of these chargers now have a CT clamp that goes directly on the solar supply, and it'll monitor what you're producing in solar, and you can select to only charge your car from solar, because the FIT tariff is gone, but people are still interested in buying solar panels, battery storage, and having one of these chargers that can charge off that means that a customer can get their payback of solar a lot quicker than they normally would.
Okay, so do you think that's going to drive people back towards solar? The market, obviously, the incentives went. And obviously, as soon as the incentives went, you could get people to fix your roof again because they're back to fitting tiles, not solar panels.
I think it will definitely increase the solar intake and the amount of people who get solar now because if they can effectively, they're paying 14p on a regular tariff, for example, or 15p, and they can fit a solar panel and charge their car for free, they're technically saving 14p.
Driving on sunshine.
Yeah,
and that's. I mean, that's interesting because, I mean, looking far ahead, and we won't care about by this stage, Gary.
Will you make it?
It'll be, we'll make it, yeah, really good. So the DNO say there's two things they won't do, and that's invest huge amounts in the local distribution network.
Right.
But at the same time, they're expecting by 2050 that half of all generation will take place in the local area.
Yeah, so microgeneration from people's roofs, effectively. Yeah.
So I'll sell you my electricity.
That's good of you. Yeah, the premium, no doubt.
Yeah, the premium.
So if we pull them together, then all those things. So we're going to have a rapidly moving tariff. So we could find we're paying 17p 1 minute and then actually negative and making money. So we've got to optimise the opportunities that gives us, and then also maybe think about using some sort of our own generation in order that we're running our vehicle for free. That looks like savings to me.
Yeah, and not only that, there's a lot of extra revenue for electricians to get in here. So they might just originally turn up to install an EV charge point, but then the customer might also be interested in having solar installed or a battery for storing that solar energy in, as well as putting in the car. And there's also, obviously, we're getting the ban on gas soon, so no more gas boilers, so heat pumps. So an electrician's got the opportunity of constant, regained work. If they install a charge point and mention the charge point's capable of all these things, they might have, repeat work.
So literally the charge point is the start of a journey.
Yeah.
Obviously everyone knows how much the journey costs now because you know how much petrol costs. You're acutely aware once you put an EV charge point in.
I always make the joke that buying an electric car is a bit like a gateway drug to being more green and sustainable. People not everyone who buys an electric car wants to be green, but they suddenly start wanting to learn about how to produce their own energy and save money in other areas, and they notice that being green is actually cheaper for them, so they invest and research all these other areas at the same time.
Okay, now obviously these tariffs, they're going to get more complicated.
Yeah.
You're going to need things to happen automatically, otherwise you're going to be dashing down to the meter, checking the display in the house. What's the energy market doing today?
Things in the mouth,
buy, sell, doing all this. Obviously, is this the reason now we actually have smart chargers? That's the long-term goal?
The long-term goal is that we'd all be on smart dynamic tariffs, and the smart dynamic tariff will handle all the complicated things. So there's no reason why you need to keep messing around plugging and unplugging your car charger. You tell the app, I don't want to charge above 6p, or I want a full charge in the morning, but by the cheapest possible rate.
Okay, and that happens in the back end. Now, obviously, when smart meters originally came on, they were supposed to talk to other appliances in the house, but that really hasn't happened, has it?
No, so we've obviously gone to two generations of smart meters. We've had SMET 1 and we've had SMET 2. SMET 2 uses a form of Zigbee communication to talk to various bits of tech in the house, but there's nothing really that talks to at the moment as in internal consumer electronics.
Okay, so we're reliant on somehow you've got your app that comes with the charger.
Yeah.
Is going to talk to the grid, which you hope will talk to your smart meter.
No, so they don't talk to the smart. These are all on their own back-end system talking to themselves.
Right.
So it obviously all it's looking at is your smart meter reports your meter data every 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Or it's actually every second, but the energy data that all they're bothered about is every half an hour. So that data is being sent to your energy company every half an hour with what you have used in that time period. If your charger knows the time of the prices of your energy company, because you tell it who you're with. If you change companies, you say, I've switched to this company. And all these charging companies, they know what your energy tariff costs, and they basically keep updating that algorithm. So one of these chargers, for example, that I've not actually got right in front of me at the moment, it will change the price every half an hour on the energy tariff, and they can look at the API, the back-end technology, and see what the price changes. So all you need to know as a customer, you just put, I don't want to charge above 6p, and the charger does everything.
Okay.
I like the sound of that.
You like the sound of that? I know, but obviously I've been through this smart revolution through some other industries before. Obviously there's loads of new charger companies coming to the market.
Yep.
There's loads of new apps.
Yeah, I know what you're going to say.
Do they all what happens? Do they fall over? What happens if companies go out of business?
Honestly, I can't 100% say. A lot of the tech in these companies, I cannot imagine another company not buying them out and taking them over. But if one went bust, in theory, you now have a dumb, stupid charger again.
Okay.
But the way the market's moving and the speed it's moving, I can imagine we are a long way off. I mean, everyone's going to switch by 2030. We are not even at the height of the amount of chargers that are going to be flooding the market and new companies entering. But I do think it will shrink, but we're probably over 10 years away from that. And I do see, because of how smart some of them are, being bought out by bigger and bigger companies.
Ones that might sell petrol at the moment, is that your thinking?
My thinking is that certain companies that sell a certain type of fuel may be looking for new revenue streams to make money.
Okay. Well, yeah, you can't. There's only so many Costa coffees you can put in a petrol filling station, isn't there?
Yeah, and M&S shops.
Yeah.
So that's really interesting. So let's summarise where we are then. So the customer's probably looking at what it physically looks like, because it's going to be screwed to the outside of their house, and that's quite important to them. But then obviously what it can do, and how it can manipulate the rated value of electricity. Is another real key feature. And I would say that would trump what it looks like to me if it was more agile on the tariff.
People care about both, so they want a good looking charge point, and they want it to do the smart features they want to do. Most of the chargers do all these things. There's a couple that don't do any, that are just effectively smart. Smart's a very complicated word when it comes to OZEV, because they've changed it now. It's not OLEV anymore, it's OZEV.
Oh, it's OZEV.
No, it's OZEV.
Breaking news.
Yeah.
OZEV.
Because it used to be low emissions, now it's zero emissions, so it's OZEV. So smart for OZEV, all it has to do is meter the amount of electricity the charge point's used, and be internet connected. That's a smart charge point, and there is a couple of charge points on the market that literally just do that. There's no app, there's no smart abilities in it at all. They are effectively a dumb charger with a meter built in.
Okay. Well, so it just shows you how quickly the market is changing, and how quickly some people aren't, keeping up with what it's going to be. So, as always, Gordon, do you agree? We're interested in your comments, and we know this is a consumer-based one, but don't forget those little tricks for the electrician that Nick's give us there. Can you upsell something like solar PV and battery storage after someone's had an EV charging point installed? Obviously, we're concerned as electricians of how to install it physically, but I would imagine we're over that now. It's becoming quite a simple process, isn't it, to take a cable out to an EV charging point. We're probably comfortable as well with pen protection and the type of RCDs we're meant to be installed, but it's that opportunity and the little quiet opportunity there offered by Octopus Energy, where you can get £50 for just recommending an agile tariff as well. So we'd like all those comments. We'd like them below. And what we're going to do is we're going to pass them all on to Nick. And Nick's going to answer every single one of those. And we're going to have some time off. How about that, Gordon?
Head over to Nick's channel. Make sure you subscribe and ask him some really difficult questions.
Absolutely.